Fixed it.
You fixed it?
Yeah.
You fixed it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can hear us?
Yeah.
You turn the volume up?
Yeah.
All right, then. Welcome
to another episode
of Driving to the Res
with your favorite hosts,
Larry
and Inelia.
Yay.
Yay!
That was kind of funny because yesterday we were listening to a podcast intro, and literally went for 14 minutes.
Yes.
And it was, it had like a lot of production value. I mean, I like spent a lot of time.
No.
By the time the intro was over, I didn't even know what the topic was
anymore. And I wasn't sure. Is it started now? No, I don't think so. No, is it? No, that hasn't started yet. Is this the interview? No, it hasn't started yet. And it didn't actually say much about the guy who he was interviewing or the topic, so I didn't know.
We didn't say anything about the guy.
Because it was just a general intro for the show.
And then a little bit of some specifics like about Alien or this or that, but it was like 14 different quotes from who knows who
movies.
about what.
Movies, mostly movies.
And
TV
then cut scenes from other movies.
Yeah.
All the intro.
13
to 14 minutes, yeah.
And then the interview started, and it wasn't that interesting. But even then, I wasn't quite sure what the show was about.
I know it. It was an odd experience.
It was very strange. It was very entertaining. I thought the entry was very entertaining. That's why I thought, maybe the whole show's like, maybe this is it.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the show. It's interesting, just, production of clips and things.
And quotes and whatnot.
Weaved together with music and stuff. It was pretty entertaining, but I can imagine listening to that every week for 13 minutes wouldn't. And we didn't actually listen to the full interview.
No, maybe it gets better at the end. Sometimes you watch a movie and it's not so great, and you just wait long enough and it gets great.
No, that's never happened. That's never happened.
Well, I'm holding out hope.
But it's like, it's interesting to see the different styles, I think.
Right, and the importance is because
I
am sure in his mind, the show maker, right? The intro, and he must put a full 40 hours of effort into that intro.
Yeah, you can tell.
He goes over here, clicks this. Hey, that's related, this related. Let's put them all together. Let's make a nice intro.
Really
we'll talk about it and weave it all together with music and everything. Yeah. It's going to be awesome.
It was awesome. It was really good.
Yeah, it was awesome effort.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
It's like the point or the purpose of the show might just be that he might just do intros.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, that's the style of the show, and I'm sure all his fans love it.
Yeah, it wasn't quite a, higher side chat intro.
Oh, those are good.
Oftentimes, yeah.
Those are so good. I want to be interviewed by him just so that he can do an intro for me.
I know, it'd be great.
He is so good.
He's good at that.
Yeah.
Interesting, though. Also, remember, we were listening to a How I Built This episode with Guy Raz.
Yeah.
Complexly? Was that what it was?
I don't know. I fell asleep to it.
Well, you fell asleep, but it was very interesting. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Vlog Brothers, remember?
Yeah.
The funny thing is like, these are super duper successful, right?
Yes.
Super, the tools.
Oh, the Blog Brothers one.
Blog Brothers, right. Yeah, we listened to it and we're laughing.
I thought you were talking about the other one.
No.
Okay.
Not the,
No, not that one.
Not the go to Mount Shasta and get high one.
No, oh my God, that was so bad. That was so bad.
That was the worst.
If it was an anti-ad for an event, that was it. But the Blog Brothers one.
Blog Brothers.
That one was really, really good.
That was the Guy Raz, yeah. It was a Complexly, I think it was the episode.
And it was beautiful to map to that really healthy brother energy.
It was
oh my gosh, it was so beautiful.
That was the part I really enjoyed too.
That was so nice. Oh, these brothers really love each other, They
get along good. They don't have competition. They have connection. They like to be connected.
Yeah, they love connection.
And they like making up things that help them be connected. They love each other so much,
and you can really tell even the banter they go with each other and stuff. Oh my God, that was such a nice show. I loved it.
But it did make me wonder about a couple things.
Oh, yeah?
Which was, for such a hugely popular setup, the company that they run, and the mission that they have and what they do, it is exactly the kind of thing that should be in our universe. It's like we should be aware of it.
We should.
And we had no idea
who
they even existed.
Who they are, what their companies. I mean, apparently
the most original and popular.
Yeah, they've got best-selling novels
and merchandise for podcasters and all the tools to help podcasters become and be successful, or YouTubers like, or whatever.
Well, we know about them now through the show, but we should just Generation X, it's like. So
that question that I have for you, because this is our show now, is did this always exist and we never knew of it, or
did we change timelines?
Did timelines change and some of these things that are supportive of some of the things that we're doing? Because remember what it was, their purpose was those who are doing good to do better. Yeah. Not the ones that are doing great to do awesome.
Yeah.
The ones that are doing
Although that's good too, they said.
That's fine. If those guys get excellent, that's okay. Better. Don't bother me. But they were focused on those who are doing good.
Yeah. To do better.
To do much, like 10 times better.
Well, you know what they say when you're, they say the wrong thing, right? But the one the saying that I believe in, and I think is accurate, is when you're ready, the teacher appears.
Right.
When you're ready, you can see the teacher, right?
Right.
So the one I believe in is that when you're ready, you can see the teacher. The teacher doesn't appear; it was always there.
It was always there, and that's kind of the nature of the universe. I think
everything's always there.
Everything's always there. You may not remember it, and you may filter it out.
Yes.
And then when you will become aware of it. It may not have been actually in your universe, and it is now because you're aware of it now, so that it exists. And it has a past and a future, and your memory of it, can be modified to adjust. Yeah. So I think that it speaks to the nature of reality.
It does. It does. And it flows nicely into our newsletter this week.
We have a newsletter this week.
Yes.
And I think we have an adjustment too, right? As our first hour and our second hour comes together.
Yeah, so we're going to start publishing the newsletter and the entire broadcast of the hour one, the first half, let's say.
The first part.
The first part, because it's not an hour anymore. The first part of the podcast and the second part of the podcast are going to be together. For those who are subscribed to Subscribestar, they can see listen to or watch the second part at the same time.
Yeah, right? So you don't listen to the first little bit we chat about, and then a few days later we talk again, and it's like, what were we even talking about?
Yeah. So we're going to do that. It's going to be published at the same time. You can just watch right through it. And everything's moving to Wednesdays. But it's a process, so we are getting there. We're organizing things so that we can do it all really nicely. For second half, go to Subscribestar. They're really, really worth it. I think super worth it. Super worth it to listen to the second half. Okay. What?
Yep. Okay.
So this week we're looking at why does the human collective not deliver what I want?
Oh gosh. How many times have I said that? Except for I didn't know it was a human collective.
Well, this is about the human collective, but
I use the word universe sometimes. Why isn't the universe bringing me what I want? I want that Ferrari. Yeah. I still have it in my head, but it was a Corvette.
Yeah. Have you ever felt that no matter what you do, your deepest desires are simply not being met by the human collective, or Gaia, or God, or Jesus, or Mary, or Muhammad, or Buddha, or Saint Angels, the universe at your wishing store keeper here.
The universe is my wishing store keeper.
Yes. I was looking at this the other day, the number of things and times I have wanted something and didn't get delivered, and my pursuit of it getting me into all sorts of trouble. And for what? I still don't know. For example, as a teen girl, I really, really, really wanted a boyfriend. It was mad how much I wanted a boyfriend. But none of the boys I fancied would go out with me. Not even if I asked them. That was crazy. I was really pretty as a teenager.
You're still pretty now, honey.
Oh, you're so sweet. I didn't know what the hell was happening. Surely all the fairy stories had to be true. An amazing, brave, handsome, intelligent, capable, and able guy would exist, fancy me, and ask me out.
Yes, right here. Except for I wasn't there.
But no, that did not happen.
No, didn't.
Eventually, I gave the co-creators of the universe an ultimatum. I would go out with the first random guy I would meet the next day, so they better deliver a really good one. But instead of a nice, wonderful man, I got an attractive troll. An awful person. Yep, a real live, nasty, horrid, dark worker troll. Of course, he didn't look like a troll.
He didn't even probably act like a troll at first.
No, he did not act mean or nasty at first, or even the first few months. He was wonderful. But that relationship took me out of commission for 20 years. No kidding.
Do you think maybe he was always the dark worker to start with, or maybe he got turned?
I'm 100% sure he got turned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the universe did deliver?
No.
Sort of.
No, not really.
Kinda.
No.
Okay. Well, because not.
Mm-mm.
Go on.
Do you want to know where I went wrong?
Well, I know where you went wrong. Clearly, I'm here. You should have waited.
What happened that changed my life for the worse so dramatically at age 18? I decided to stop thinking in terms of, does this support my highest and prime purpose in life?
Mm-hmm.
And instead I decided that the single highest priority was having a boyfriend tomorrow.
Now.
That was it. Just
I'm tired of waiting for the right one. I just want
Yes.
one.
So why this time the universe delivered when so many other times it had not is a great subject for another article. Let's just say for now that it's not that complicated.
I think I have some ideas about it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because the orchestrations that are involved require the right person and the right person to both be on the same, ability
Ready.
to be orchestrated and meet.
Yes.
And so when you release the requirement for the right person that way, and all they have to be is a person, there's a lot more people that can be orchestrated for that, right?
Yes.
Who agreed to it on their own.
Exactly. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
also
I'd
the
think.
base energy, I don't know. Well, let's continue and then we can talk about the base energy of the desire in the first place.
Oh, okay.
I decided to stop. Oh, yeah, we read that bit. I then found out that hell is what a lot of people experience in life, and that didn't make any sense to me at all.
Hell is what a lot of people experience in life?
Yeah, they think they're in hell, and their life is hellish.
Who?
People on earth.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And that didn't make any sense to me at all. It probably doesn't make sense to you either. And those not going through hell are probably going through a lot of stress, doubt, or having difficulties. So I thought I better make some tools to fix that. After all, my prime purpose for being here is to raise the frequency level of the planet, and that's done when people become aware of and remove the low frequency and the perceptions from themselves that make the world a living hell. Once this began, they start to experience and express their true frequency instead. In other words, by removing the low frequencies and perceptions, the person starts experiencing and expressing their true frequency and will start getting that frequency reflected back to them instead of the hell they were living in. So I tested my theory and it worked. I was like, oh my God, it's so easy.
Is that really what you said?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's so easy.
It's so hard and so easy at the
Yes,
same time.
Yes. Okay, now you know how the mechanics of the universe work, but even though we may know the mechanics, and you may have missed the mechanics because I was talking very fast.
I kind of just... Now here's the thing I want to say.
Okay.
I hear you say that last
Yes,
part,
yes.
and then there must have been some mechanics,
Yes.
but I didn't hear them or remember them.
Yes, exactly.
So let's do that again.
Okay.
What are the
But
mechanics?
even though we may not know the mechanics, most people don't know how to make it work for them. So we may know the mechanics. Most people don't know how to make them work. So here's a super effective method you can use to make those mechanics start turning in your direction.
Okay.
So the mechanics, just
Tell
to
me.
remind you.
Listen. Just listen.
Yes.
This is the part. Just listen, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the mechanics basically come down to frequency.
Ooh, frequency.
Yes. And the reason for your desires. And what frequency those reasons are from.
When you say frequency, what do you mean?
Are they based on joy, expression of exploration,
Curiosity.
inspiration, curiosity?
Is that the frequency of the inquiry?
Yes.
Or is it
stress, fear,
stress,
loneliness.
loneliness?
Yeah.
hell.
Hell, pain,
relieve
suffering.
me from hell and suffering.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's a frequency example.
Those are frequency examples, right?
So what if you're in the hell frequency and you're like, you want to not be? First change your frequency and then
yes. So
from your frequency change, then
as you start changing your frequency, and also the other part of this mechanics is what is the main purpose of your desire? Right? The main purpose. So is it to have your core frequency, your essence, be reflected back to you through the physical universe? Or is it to, I wonder what it's like to feel suffering. I wonder what it's like to, have your heart broken. I wonder what it's like to, have somebody who loves me and appreciates me and thinks I'm awesome and gives me love and makes me feel secure and complete and all this type of things. That's a lot of things. Those are not good reasons. Okay. Right? So yeah.
So start with frequency anyway.
Yes. Okay, let's make this mechanics work for us.
Okay, how?
First of all, start with a few seconds a day and increase the times you do this exercise per day.
Okay, start with a few seconds?
Yes.
Okay.
Take a deep breath and feel into your frequency. Really, really, really feel your core essence self, your purest form of your frequency. Oh, and FYI, we did an exercise that shows how to do this in the possessions class.
Yeah, that's the one with the little star in your heart.
Yes.
I was just doing that one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Boy, I must be psychic. Or you planted the seed and I remembered it as my own idea.
Yes, I think so.
It happens.
Okay, now, as you feel it.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah, feel that frequency, that core, pure frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Tell yourself and your body, very important to include the body, that this is you. So you feel that frequency, you go, this is me.
This is me.
Yeah, this is me.
Okay.
This is my frequency.
This is my frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now take a few deep breaths. And as you do so, repeat, I allow the human collective co-creation.
I allow the human collective co-creation.
Gaia and the universe.
Gaia and the universe.
To reflect back to me.
To reflect back to me.
This frequency.
This frequency.
In the form of my physical life experiences on Earth.
In the form of my physical life experiences on Earth.
That's it.
Look, BB's covered in rainbows.
Yep, that's it.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked that fast.
Yeah. And you know what? You also have to stop thinking that the desires you have for experiences that you learned from others are your prime purpose. They're not. They're just secondary interests. So what was this boyfriend thing I had when I was a teenager? Mm-hmm. And finding the love of my life and the hero of the story and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, what was it?
It wasn't mine. It was my culture's.
In order to be fulfilled or happy or satisfied, you have to have a man.
Yes. Yeah.
If you ain't got a man, then you're missing out.
Yeah. 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 And everything in the world is going to be rainbows and butterflies.
If you just find that guy.
Yeah.
Until then, though,
it's going to be torture.
It's torture. You could end up an old maid or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Cinderella.
Which is hijacking some biological things, right? Biological programs.
Yeah.
So they just hitch that on those other programs and they get more power and then they become super real.
Right.
Even though they're still not.
Mm-hmm. But
if you tuned into your original, your frequency, right? Mm-hmm. Then that probably wouldn't have been true.
Right.
It's, oh my God, that's so easy. Of course, it's going to take a little bit of diligence, I think, too, because those feelings are pretty intense.
They are, yes.
And they really do feel like your original something.
They
don't feel like there's somebody else.
Yeah, especially when you're a teenager and your hormones, all you want to do is have sex, as a teenager. And of course, it's like eventually you go, okay. And usually people go, okay, any guy will do.
Well, I don't know about that. I did definitely not feel that way.
Or any girl will do for you. As a teenager, not guys.
No, it's not at all. Never felt that, not once.
I didn't feel anything about girls too. It's like, nope, never even crossed my mind.
No.
But in my house, it was such a pressure because of the culture I was coming from that at age 16, my mom took me to the doctor. Well, first thinking that I was pregnant because I used to get nauseous in the morning. She was quite happy about that one, actually. And then the doctor said, no, you're not pregnant. And then and I looked at her and says, what do you mean? I says, she said, before she examined me, she said, have you been with a boy? And I says, what do you mean? And what do you mean, have I been with a boy? Have you had sex with a boy? And I looked at her and says, no, why? And she looks at my mom and says, what the hell? Do you think I'm pregnant? Why didn't you just ask me? Well, you keep forgetting vomiting in the morning. And that was because of food allergies and incompatible food at home. But anyways, when I told her no, that I had never been with a boy, I was actually still a virgin at 16, my mom then thought that I was a lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
And she kept saying, it's perfectly fine. I understand. And lesbians can set up families and then you can have children through these banks, sperm banks and things.
Sperm banks,
so we can still have grandchildren.
Like
it's like, it's fine. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not lesbian. I'm not interested in girls. And so, but it's okay. You can tell me. And I was like, oh my gosh. So do you see the type of pressure there, coming from the family?
Of any kind.
Of any kind would do, Otherwise, there was something very strange with me.
There's nothing wrong with some people who want same-sex partners, though.
Of course not.
But that could be implied by I wasn't ever attracted to men.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. No, we're not, but of course, people can do what they like.
They do what they like.
Exactly.
This is for me. Nope.
And you're born that way. You can't even help it, right? It's like,
well, I thought,
how would you help it? I can't help liking men. I can't help it. So, anyways, going back to that kind of parameters, at school, that was the highest pressure. Because among the girls, and this was the 80s, and it became a huge thing, that if you were 16 and still a virgin, there was something seriously wrong with you.
Really?
And virgin, it didn't matter if it was because it was a girlfriend, boyfriend, girl-boyfriend. It didn't matter.
If only the guys knew that.
As long as...
It was like a giant secret kept from all the guys.
No, it was the boys and girls in my school.
The boys knew and the girls knew?
Yes.
And there were still girls who didn't?
Yes. Well, that's just strange. Me. I was the only virgin at 16 in my school.
That makes some sense.
And there's one other girl, but she was highly religious. And
so she wasn't
gonna
get married first or whatever.
Yeah. She wasn't gonna sleep with anybody until she got married, so everybody accepted that.
Oh. But nobody wanted to marry her?
At 16 now.
Okay. I thought there was this little thing where you could go have pretend marriage. That's somewhere else, right? I have no idea. They go to another country, they have a pretend marriage, they can have sex, then they get divorced and they go back home.
I have no idea what that's about. But in my school...
I think that's in the Middle East, something like that.
Right. It didn't work out that way. And me.
Yeah.
And so the girls were always trying to set me up and stuff, or just questioning it. It's like, what's wrong with you? Are you not interested, or what the hell matter?
What's wrong with you?
Don't you know how good it is? And blah, blah, blah. I said, no, because,
I never did it.
So all this pressure, and then it's like, okay, so if you reach 18 and you're still a virgin, then...
It's pretty much over for you.
No, there is something very seriously wrong with you. Very, very seriously wrong with you. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I had no street smarts, right? Like 0 street smarts.
So whatever guy shows up tomorrow, that's the one.
That's the one. Yeah. And it wasn't like the one for a relationship. Oh no, I was just going to shag him and move on. But of course, I've never had that experience in life where you have sexual relationships with somebody and they don't want to see you again. So, yeah.
So he was smitten?
Yeah. And so was I, so,
Worked out.
First
for
experience.
For the next 20 years-ish.
Did not work out. I have wonderful children. I'm going to have those children with somebody else, I have to say. They would have still been my children because they chose me, so. But yeah, it wasn't a good experience to step away from my knowing. And I'd done some other really stupid decisions. At 14, for example, I decided that I couldn't understand why people couldn't remember things. I could remember everything from the moment that I stepped into the world, like I was born. Mm-hmm. Like every single second of my life, a full recall. And at 14, I decided, what is it like to forget something, right? Because people could forget stuff that they didn't like or whatever. Or memories that they didn't want. Mm-hmm. Or whatever. I thought, what is that like? And that was the worst decision of my life. That one even trumps the other one, right? Well, that one trumps the other one.
How come the universe provides those ones so fast and then you can't take them back?
Like the frequency thing.
It's like frequency I told thing?
You. Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me. The frequency still doesn't make sense to me.
If the decision is made from a place of despair or fear or whatever's, then the light dark game will provide you with those tools
quite quickly.
Very quickly, yeah.
And the other ones not quite as quickly because there's less
relevance. There's less.
I guess less. I would say percent or push or it's like a little bit upstream instead of down with the stream. Maybe
for the light dark paradigm
at the time,
especially.
Hey, do you want to ruin your life? Sure. Let's go crash a car.
Yeah.
That one's fast.
Yeah.
You want to make the best of your life? Don't get in the car and instead stay home and read this book about whatever.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I don't know. I think I'd rather go in the car.
Right.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. And
because of the frequency.
But that has been a level of inquiry that I've had when we're in a very low frequency state and we make a desire based on that low frequency. It appears that the human collective, the universe, and everything else does reflect it back to you right away, right? But when you do the other side, you're in a very high frequency state.
It's like you have less co-creators in the process.
That is a possibility. You have less co-creators, for sure.
Because the co-creators need to be your frequency or higher, right?
Right.
In order for that to come really about.
Work. Yeah. But there's something else there. There's something else. It's almost like you don't desire anything when you're in that state.
Yeah. It's like
everything's perfect.
It's like you reach that frequency and then a boyfriend or not a boyfriend, you're that frequency and you don't.
Yeah.
There's no need for a boyfriend.
Yeah. And at a high frequency level.
And it's a soul.
How many awakened high frequency level guys would have existed age 16?
In 1980.
Whatever.
Ish.
Yeah.
None. Probably.
None.
One. I was still, I was that age, I was still.
You were still awake? You hadn't fallen asleep yet? Your ego was playing silly buggers with you, I think.
Yeah,
sabotaging you.
Yeah, okay, so I wasn't quite ready.
No. Exactly. And then, it's a very strange dynamic, you know? Very strange dynamic.
So it's almost, again, a state of it. If you match a frequency, then the frequency matches many, many of them. They're very easy to encounter.
To find, yeah.
And if you're at a different frequency, the frequency match for that, it's not so readily available. It takes either you move or they move or they get up to, or there's a lot of more involved in it at the time. At this time, there's a lot more, but they're still sprinkled around like raisins in the bread, not the bread.
Yeah. But once you get to that frequency and you unblock yourself, it does happen quite quickly. Yeah.
Open for the orchestration.
Yes.
Listening. Yeah. Okay. It makes sense. It makes sense. And at some point in the split, it will be different.
Yeah. Plus, at that age, the normal in my life was abuse and dark stuff,
Yeah.
So, like many other light workers or light beings, the family and situations that I chose were very specific through genetic and skill sets that were in those lineages. But there was also a level of familiarity or something with regards to my physical body elemental. And the main running programs within those lineages still had a lot of dark experiences involved and also a lot of lack of street smarts. Because from the perspective of chosen experiences, right? We were still very much infused and involved in the light-dark paradigm. And part of the lineage was warrior lineage, like going to war. And you can't go to work as a high-frequency being. So, or if you have like enlightenment and war, they don't go together.
Yeah, one stops the other in its tracks, kind of. Yeah. That'd be an interesting sprinkle a little enlightenment over the front lines and see what happens.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. Yeah. So yeah, it's one of those things. So when we remember the mechanics, right? Our base frequency go from that spot, not from, oh, I'm so lonely, I want to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend because I'm so lonely, right? And in that very first relationship, I remember the very spot, the very moment when I went down the dark path, right? I remember that very distinctly. Even before this person became extremely abusive and nasty, there was a moment when I was given that choice, and I knew in that moment. And I chose through, I don't know, a macabre sense of pleasure from a weirdness state, because it was new and weird. And maybe slightly familiar, something I was familiar with. And the situation was, I had a motorbike. At the time, I was 18, of course. I had a motorbike, and I had the habit of getting like 1:00 in the morning or something. I would climb on my bike and ride through the city, or going to the country and ride the bike. I used to love it. It was just amazing. There was nobody on the road in England, and the stars were out, and it was just a beautiful experience. To me, I loved the city and the lights and the creation of humanity and all these type of things, and just in yourself, that zone, it was really, really nice. And we were together with this guy. We were living in a bedsit together, and then I started putting on all my gear. I said, I'm going to go for a ride. And he looks at me and he says, don't go. And I'm go, what do you mean? I'll be back in about an hour or two. No, don't go. And I said, what's the matter? What's wrong? I don't want you to go. And he says, why? Because you'll never come back. I said, of course I'll come back. I'll be back in a couple of hours. And then he said, if you leave, I won't be here when you get back. I'll be gone. And you'll never see me again. And I looked at him and I knew in that moment, right? And I knew in that moment I should go. And everything's going to be just fine. But then I got that weird energy, low frequency stuff of abandonment issues, and I don't know, it was all very sticky. And I just stood there for a while, trying both on, and then I went for the low frequency one.
What?
Yeah, I stayed.
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't in a million jillion years nowadays.
No, of course not. But at that moment, I was 18 and it was like weird, and familiar because, it was passive aggressive BS that I grew up with,
Yeah, it was normal actually.
It was normal. It's how a person shows you how they love you.
If he didn't love you, he wouldn't say those things.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what you believe at the time, right? And that's how passive-aggressive people understand. I mean, that's how they express it. Yeah. And when I said, I thought, oh, I'm screwed.
Yeah. It's easy, of course, to look back on it from the future, but it's not so easy in it.
At the time, yeah, with all those emotions and strong things, you know.
So if you're in it right now, for example, in meaning you're making decisions based on less than high-frequency reasons, give yourself the breath of high frequency, tap into yourself, do that tiny little exercise for a few seconds at the minimum.
A few seconds, yeah.
And then another few seconds, another few seconds, another few seconds. Give yourself like the snowball rolling down the hill of a few seconds of that every time you're about to make the decision. Instead of making the decision, do the little exercise first.
Yes.
And then after the exercise, the decision comes again. And he's like, wait a minute, in your mind, wait a minute. So you could be, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour sitting there deciding whether you're going to get on the bike and go do what you love or stay and be manipulated.
Exactly.
Instead of deciding either one, just do the exercise for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, and then see where it takes you.
Right.
It's worthwhile.
Yeah.
Worth a try.
It is. Yeah.
It's better than the consequences, I gotta say.
Yes, better than the consequences. Indeed.
All right. This is going to be a good second hour, huh?
Yes.
Okay. See you in the second hour, honey.
All right. See you then.
Just a couple seconds.
Couple seconds.
Okay, bye.
Bye.